We have a lot to talk about tonight. We haven't seen each other for a whole month.
Matt's been trying to avoid us.
Exactly. Here's the thing. Don't fart in front of people that you've been friends with for a couple years. They won't ever forgive you for it.
No, they won't.
Nope. We're still holding that against you.
How dare you?
Sometimes you just got to let it go. You're just doing what your kid does now. Eat, toot, eat, toot, eat,
Hopefully
toot.
nothing ends up in the
I was going to say,
leftover there.
hopefully nothing ends up in my diaper.
Yeah,
So.
there you go.
We're back. Welcome back to episode 15 of the podcast. It's been a while since us three have been down in the studio, which is my basement, talking about sports and other life events. So we are going to jump right into it today. We're going to bring to you our Let's Think About It question. We're going over old ESPN commercials. I think that's a good one. There were some classics, and I don't even know when the last time they ran an ESPN commercial like that. They don't do them anymore, do they?
They've got to have them
a
floating
few.
around.
Do they?
But I think what's interesting is we're the Sports Center generation. Like, you remember watching Sports Center
Yeah.
over and over and over again, right?
On repeat.
When was the last time that you think you watched a full hour of Sports Center?
Man.
I was thinking about this the other day. Like, it's like Twitter and like social media is kind of completely taken over like the
Yeah.
Sports Center thing for
Might
me.
honestly almost be high school.
I think
I was going to say college.
Probably college for
Maybe
me.
the beginning of college, but like I don't even remember towards the end of college at all.
You don't remember like 3 a.m.?
I mean, I also didn't have
Just-
TV in college. Like maybe
Okay,
when I came back to
okay.
my parents' house,
Okay.
but like I'm not buying TV. I
Were
didn't
you
have that
Amish?
kind of-
Why didn't you have a TV?
No, I had a TV, but I didn't have Sports Center. I didn't have cable.
Okay. Sorry, I retract my Amish.
Because there's a lot more
We're
to do
college
in
students,
Fargo
we got-
than watch TV.
Mm-hmm, sure.
Well, there's
there
not.
is.
But how am I paying for this? I'm in college.
You were working.
I was working. I had all that money went to where I was staying. Because if you
All
saw
right.
our first two places, you knew why I was paying money to stay somewhere nice.
Jeepers. Love it, love it, love it. Let's jump right into it, and then we'll get into our sports topics of the day. Favorite ESPN commercial of all time? Go ahead, Matt. Lead us off.
I mean, mine's the John Clayton one. Rest in peace.
Oh, really?
Died a few years ago.
Remind me of that one again. I watched a few. I watched my favorites, and I'll get to those. But what's the John Clayton one?
It's when you remember John Clayton. He was older guy, bald guy, NFL insider,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yep.
And it was the end of one of his segments that he was doing, and he takes off like a bald cap, and he's got a giant rat tail going all the way down to his butt.
I remember that one
And
now.
he's got and he rips off his tie and suit and everything, and he's got a Slayer T-shirt underneath.
Yep.
And he goes and lays in his bed and yells to his mom that he's done with his segment and starts just blasting heavy metal music.
Well, and right before that, one of his coworkers is like, he's so professional. Or
Yeah.
whatever they say.
He's the most
Yeah,
he's
or
the
whatever
most
it is.
professional at ESPN. And that one always got me because I was like, John Clayton's always been just like he was just always kind of a weirdo guy. Like, how did he get into football and ESPN?
Yeah,
and it's
sure.
just hilarious. I mean, John Clayton, that was probably one of my favorite ones. And even with like Van Pelt or Stu Scott, like those
Yeah.
are always
Stuart
awesome.
Scott, rest in peace.
Awesome. This is a homer pick for me, but I would definitely say the Albert Pujols one where
the Yankees cap.
no, that's the
Oh.
Ortiz one.
Oh, that's Ortiz. Yeah.
What's
The
the
Or-
Albert Pujols
The
one?
Ortiz one is pretty good with Posada.
Yeah.
The Albert Pujols one is the anchors come in and they're talking to him about being the machine.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
And he's like, I'm not
Oh,
machine
yeah.
and whatever, but then it turns out like he's kind of like a Terminator. I'm doing just a real bad job of
Well,
explaining
he,
these things to
looks
people
at
and
the
how they're
people and
funny.
it's like calculating
But they're-
that he should eliminate them, and then
Yeah.
the photocopier or whatever he's
I remember
he's
that
just
one.
like, why didn't you eliminate them? It's like, shut up.
Again, I love Albert Pujols, so I'm a little biased. But the John Clayton one for me was the one that actually made me like laugh out loud that they were kind of onto
That's
something.
number one.
Yeah,
I'm the Arnold Palmer one
that's great.
in
That's a good
in the cafeteria.
Yep.
Because it's Van Pelt and
one. And Stu Scott.
and
yeah.
Stu Scott in
Yeah.
that one, and Arnie comes through and mixes the lemonade, iced tea, lemonade, and then just a little splash, and they're like, "Oh yeah, that was well done."
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "That's a good one."
I think mine is just easily the Steve Irwin one.
When he tackles the alligator,
Yep.
crikey, mate! Wait,
That one's awesome.
Rest in peace again.
that we
Steve
named
Irwin.
okay, Steve Irwin.
But I love the
Stuart
soccer
Scott.
ones that they had too. Like there's one, I don't know who it was, but he's at the photocopier and he's trying to do a photocopy and it gives him a yellow card
Is that Ronaldo?
after he kicks it.
Is that the Brazil guy? It
I
sounds
don't
like
know who it
Ronaldo,
was.
but I don't think it's pronounced Ronaldo. It's like Ronaldinho. You remember him? You guys, do you know soccer at all?
Oh,
It is Ronaldinho. I think it is. It's something Ronaldinho.
Wait, I don't.
Let it out, Matt.
Doesn't
What
seem
do you?
to think you're anywhere near it.
This is great. I'm just going to let you keep going
All
through
right,
it.
deal.
Yeah.
But there is one other great soccer one too, when they do the workplace injury thing, because they started watching soccer and they're like, it's raised the workplace injuries. He
Yep.
bumps him
Yeah.
and he's like crying on the ground.
It just ESPN of what it feels like 10 years ago versus what it is now is so vastly different. It doesn't feel like they can do those things
No.
where they can have fun.
Yeah.
It seems like it is completely shifted in such a direction where, like, one, I just can't believe it exists. Like, it seems like it's an extremely expensive, like, little side hobby for Disney to
ESPN
hold on to
in general?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they still don't get like the best games, like
No.
obviously NBA and stuff like that, and like college stuff they've really locked into. But I'm just like kind of constantly shocked that they exist. It's just it seems like a completely different atmosphere and environment from
Yeah.
what it was like growing up, where it felt like that was the only way that you could ever get any sports information at all.
Now we have social media, but now there's so many spin-offs. There's NBA Live. There's NFL Live. There's so many different spin-offs. Back in the day, there was none of that. It was just the main reporters like Clayton Kershaw or who's the guy you really like that you just said?
Did you say Clayton Kershaw?
No, not Clayton Kershaw. Shoot, what's the
John Clayton.
John Clayton. No.
Boy, John Clayton and Clayton Kershaw do not share many similarities.
Who is the main baseball reporter? The little weasel guy. He reminds me of your favorite
Tim Kirkchin.
There you go.
A little weasel guy.
They're both one of the same.
man.
Look at all the main
man.
reporters. Adam Scheffler's a little weasel guy. He's a little tiny dude.
Listen,
They all just got some nerdy things
You're
going
not
on.
wrong, but I never saw that one coming.
you come home from school, you got Around the Horn, you got PTI. If you were on
Those are
ESPN2
good.
for a bit, you had Sports Nation for a little bit. Rest in peace, Sports Nation.
Yeah.
You get the regular sports centers for a couple hours, and those were the good ones to watch.
Yep.
Like the 5 and 6. And
Start
then
watching at the top
you get
10 and you
games.
watch until you see the top 10 again.
Exactly.
That is true.
Exactly.
An hour later.
Yep.
And now, like, I just, like, that routine, like, that thing just has not existed for so long. And it's, I don't know. I haven't thought about it for a long time. But
I was
it's
actually going to
it's
say
so
I
strange.
have one listed here. That's probably the last time I really saw anything Sports Center related, which was the curry getting the chicken curry.
Oh,
and he
yeah,
thinks that
yeah,
it's
yeah.
for him.
Mhm.
That's like the last one I can remember that they made.
That is the last one that I remember too.
That had to have been pretty, but still.
That's probably when they were going on their
recent.
run.
So 2014, 2015,
Yeah, I mean, it has
right?
to be
Like
fairly
10 years
recent.
ago.
Like, well, I guess that's not that recent.
But I mean, recent in relation to like
What we
a
were
lot
thinking,
Of,
yeah.
exactly. I guess maybe if I watched ESPN for like 6 hours, like I used to, maybe I will stumble upon these commercials. But
Yeah.
I just don't. I
Yeah,
just don't
no.
have that connection to it anymore.
no.
It's tough. Scott Van Pelt and LeBron James one. That one was a good one.
That's pretty good.
When he steals his
Is
chair.
that the
That's
chair?
pretty
those-
Yeah.
Do you guys like the Olympic ones? Like the Phelps with his bronze coaster that he
Yeah,
gets
yeah.
or
the
the
Usain Bolt.
Usain Bolt where
Yep.
that was a short day, or a long day of work with the
Mhm.
6 seconds, whatever it was. I don't remember. What
9 point something
9 point
seconds.
something.
Whatever his world record was. So, want to hop into NFL stuff?
I think it's time for Commander's Corner with Taylor.
Commanders Corner. Oh, man. My Washington Commanders just absolutely doing what they need to do to control. I just still don't know what division they are in, guys. So
NFC
I do
East.
apologize. Thank you. NFC East.
Just follow a team, but don't know the details.
Yeah, you don't need to know the details. All you need to know is that they're absolutely working teams. See that Bears game? That Hail Mary
That was
to
fun.
end the game? That was fun.
It was even more fun when Stevenson, right? Is that his name? Was taunting the crowd.
Yeah, number 29
Yeah.
or whatever. I know numbers better than names.
it's a-
Just taunting people, and then he's the one who tips it into the end zone for them to win.
You
So
didn't
yeah,
seem that happy about that, or were you just that was a sigh of happiness?
It's It's just those poor Chicago Bears.
Nobody
they
cares
are
about
just kind
poor
of a,
Chicago Bears.
Kind of a dumpster fire of an organization,
Good.
man. They look so bad against Arizona recently. It's not great. It's not great. But Washington,
I would like to never see the Bears be good again.
but that's why I have a little hesitance of jumping on the Commanders bandwagon with Dr. Peterson over there, because they really should be winning these games more handily.
By a lot.
And they snuck out the one against the Giants. I literally took a Hail Mary to win the one against the Bears. They should be.
Well, one
Bears at the time,
division.
though, had a top 5 defense. Their defense is playing well, but
I was gonna
Caleb
say, the
Williams
Bears are
can't
winning
score.
against everyone somehow. Like, so that you're
I
playing a
realize
team
that.
that's like same record as you. Also, then the other one's a division game that like you never know what's going to happen in a division game.
Yeah, you should smash.
You
the
should.
Giants. You should smash.
But it
the
never
Giants.
happens that way. Even if it.
They should have
Like-
smashed the Giants.
How many years have the Vikings had a good year and
You
then lost to the
cannot-
terrible Bears?
You cannot compare the
Yes,
NFC
I
North to the
can.
NFC East.
Last time
Not
we got
this year,
together,
no. But previous
we
years.
talked about Cleveland. It was a pretty commanding win, 30, no pun intended. See what I did there? 34-13. Then we played Baltimore, lost 30-23. Jaden had a night, 24 for 35, 269 yards, 68.6% completion, and then he rushed for another 22 yards. So he had an average game. I don't even remember that game. What happened in the end of that one? Was it just Baltimore just kind of controlled it?
I think
Because
Baltimore was up by like 14 or something, and they had like a last-second touchdown.
'Cause
So I don't think
Baltimore-
really it was. I don't think that was like the real score. Like it was like trash minutes.
Baltimore's been crazy up and down too. Who did they just lose to like 2 weeks ago?
Browns
The Browns.
last week. No,
They've been
2 weeks ago.
but like 2
Well,
football weeks ago.
2 football weeks
Yeah.
ago. Yeah, I was going to say we're hitting this stuff a little late. So
Baltimore. We don't need to belabor them too much, but them losing to the Raiders and the Browns has definitely got me a little hesitant to invest in them. But I would say Baltimore and Washington have some similarities in the way that they play, where their offense is I'm not going to say commanding,
yeah,
because again, you just made that joke, so it's off limits for the rest of the podcast.
it is.
But they're both so overwhelming, and they've really got their game plans down really well. But their defenses, both of their defenses, are really, really struggling. So I think they relate in a way, in not just close proximity to each other. To Jaden, I hope that Washington can kind of recognize what Baltimore's done with Lamar Jackson and apply that to Jaden Daniels.
Yeah.
You can go the Baltimore route where you try to invest in a bunch of wide receivers and have it never, ever pan out.
Or you just get Derrick Henry and
Or you get Derrick Henry and completely revitalize your offense.
yeah.
But the trade deadline just happened. Would have really loved to see Washington go after maybe an offensive weapon, but they got Marshawn
They
Lattimore.
got Marshawn. Yep.
But they do
cornerback
have
New
weapons.
Orleans.
They've had a couple injuries throughout the year and stuff too. So like, I mean, when they're
They have
healthy, they're
weapons.
moving pretty good.
They have consistent weapons.
yeah.
McLaurin is playing really well. Tight end, Ertz, big target in the end zone. They have 3 running backs that get the ball consistently that do damage. So yeah,
But how is that going to
They're not
how is that
weapon
gonna
weapons.
translate?
Yeah, it's gonna be tougher in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like I see what you're.
'Cause-
you need another target, but
The problem that I foresee for them is right now they're 7-2.
Mhm.
So if they're going to roll, and let's say they win their division, whatever. Even though Philly's coming on a little bit, they almost lost that game to Jacksonville. So I would call them suspect as well.
hey, don't say that. We play them next week.
I understand. If you look at what Washington could possibly end up with, so they win their division, let's call them the 2 seed,
Yep.
3 seed, whatever. Realistically, they're going to have to play a team like the Packers in the second round.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
That's a bad draw for them.
yeah,
yeah.
And honestly, any of these teams would be a bad draw. They would almost be better off in like a wild card position and try to play those teams at that level, because someone's going to come into their house and smack them.
That's an extra game though. They got to play an extra game and then
Right.
yeah, I don't know.
But you also have to remember to come in to the playoffs. If you can even stand your ground a little bit with a first-year quarterback, you're looking pretty good for next year.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. And it sets up stuff for next year. I
Yeah.
just think this year they're shooting the moon right now, and
Yeah.
I feel like
They're hot. They're really hot.
yeah, they're very Houston Texans-esque of last year.
Yeah.
Where everybody was like, "Oh my God, is this? Oh, this team's actually going to be pretty good." Okay, we did not expect this. They're going to win a playoff game.
Yeah.
My God, they won a playoff game, and then they get smacked against Baltimore.
Yeah.
In the second round.
And Texans this year are not looking good.
They've kind of completely collapsed. But just in general for Washington, like I think they're a very exciting team for the future. I think they're going to get insane hype next year. I think if they kind of fall flat this year, stay on the bandwagon.
Yeah. I'm on the bandwagon.
Stay on the wagon, stay connected because it might end pretty poorly this year.
Yeah. I'm on the bandwagon. I think Washington sees that they have a very, very, very solid franchise quarterback, and they're going to put weapons around him. Like you said, you wish they would have went out. And, yeah, it would have been nice if they went out for an offensive weapon. But to shore up that defense, maybe they have confidence in their offense that they're clicking on cylinders right now.
How old is
that's a good
McLaurin?
thing. He's mid-20s. He's not that old.
He was Pro Bowl
so
last year.
they have a pretty young
he?
team other than Ertz then, right?
Yeah, Ertz is the grandpa. He's been in the league for like 12 years.
Their offensive line though was pretty suspect. So if they're looking at draft next year, which based on the
once
trade
you get your quarterback, that's your next step.
But based on the trade deadline, they did not give up a lot of draft picks because they clearly have an idea of what they want to do in the draft. They also have brand new owners. You cannot overstate the new owner syndrome. They are going to spend a amount of money next year in the free agency.
Is that Magic Johnson's group?
Yeah, he's a very small part of the operation, but Josh Harris, who used to own the 76ers, who sold out on the 76ers to basically buy into the Commanders.
Got you.
Like, especially now that he sees a quarterback, I guarantee you they are going to spend an amount of money on offensive weapons that you are going to be shocked by.
So would you say you have to trust the process?
Oh, God.
Hopefully it works, though, because hopefully you don't get too many guys in there that are too hot-headed and kind of throw a wrench into that chemistry, because they got good chemistry if you watch them play. So all that good stuff. Let's get back. They wiped Carolina 40-7. Jaden Daniels actually went down with a rib injury. 2 for 2, 6 yards. Look at that completion percentage. Just absolutely crushing it. And had 3 carries for 50 yards with a 46-yard run that actually knocked him out with the rib injury. Which is fine, because then guess what? Our boy came back the next week against the Bears, 18-15, won on that Hail Mary. Dude's got a cannon. He was running around for a while, but he kind of just planted and just let that thing go, and it got to the front of the end zone. I was like, jeez.
Throwing 60 yards off your back foot.
Was he on his own 40?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is insane to be able to do. Like that is a level of skill that like Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre would have. Not Jaden Daniels, who that really wasn't what he was touted as in college, as a big arm kind of thrower.
But you saw him in the NFL Combine. He can, like you said, back foot 50, 60-yard bombs on the dime, which is cool. But yeah, you see Aaron Rodgers in his prime of his career just launch those up, and he's got a cannon too. So,
isn't it nice to see him do bad?
It's
lovely.
You want to jump into that after this next 2 minutes of
that's all I had to say
finishing
about
up the Washington corner? So we beat the Bears on a Hail Mary, which is good for confidence. That's huge. 21 for 38, 326 yards. And 1 touchdown throwing, none running, which was fine. His only touchdown, I didn't just realize that. His only touchdown was that Hail Mary? Huh, interesting.
Well, that was like a 18-15 or I don't know what the score was.
Yeah, I think it was.
It was really low.
Maybe against Chicago. But...
Yeah, no, Chicago.
Okay.
Yeah. And then this last week, beat the Giants, 27-22. 15 of 22. So that was if I'm looking at this right, that was the least amount of attempts. Did the Giants can they not stop the run? Did they just pound it down their throat? I know the Giants are not good, but
the Giants can't really do anything.
Okay.
That's true.
So they probably got on a...
Randomly, they'll show up one time on offense for.
Randomly, they will show up in a playoff game against the Vikings 2 years ago.
Yeah, it didn't show up. We just didn't show up either.
So just quick. We'll dive a little bit more in depth on the film and all that stuff next week. But I like what he's doing. He's confident in the pocket. He moves around extremely well. I don't think he's like at the beginning of the year he was checking down as much. He's actually taking shots downfield. He's seeing the field a lot better. The O-line is a little iffy, but with that being said, for a young quarterback to actually stick in there and make pinpoint throws, that shows a lot of I think a lot of maturity in what he's doing. So he's 13th in the league with 1,945 yards, 9 total touchdowns, only thrown 2 interceptions this year, and has a QBR of 76, which is third out of all QBs right now in the NFL. So I like where we're going. I saw some things about MVP talk. I don't know if I can go that far yet. Maybe later. Yet.
Need the Chiefs to lose.
But they were putting him up there on potential if he continues, and Washington obviously continues to play well.
Also, you might need Lamar to do worse too.
Well, Lamar's having a great year.
5 touchdowns a game.
They're not going to give
Derrick Henry's having an unreal year.
They're not going to give Lamar back-to-back MVPs.
No, he'd basically have to break records to do it.
Yes.
But, I mean,
but
still,
also,
he's been playing insane.
They're not going to give it to a rookie.
No.
That's fun and all.
If
but
there's a rookie to
by the
give
same
it to,
logic,
though.
you can't give it to Mahomes either. So I don't know who's really.
Oh no, Mahomes should not get it.
Yeah,
no.
I know. But so who's really in the running then?
Don't spoil bold takes.
Okay, sorry.
Don't spoil.
I was getting
bold
ahead of
takes.
myself.
I threw out the name that I think is in the running for MVP, but
we can wait
until
bold
bold takes.
Mm-hmm.
Jinx, you owe me a soda now, Trevor. Because
Hopefully it's one of the people that I bet on.
Hopefully it's one of the people I bet on. We're in Minnesota. You guys are Vikings peeps. We don't need to touch on it that long. They had back-to-back losses, and then they just beat the Colts. I did not watch that game. I went home early because I had to work. Trevor watched the whole thing probably. Matt, did you watch the whole thing?
Yes, I was in attendance to watch the game.
Okay.
Right. Granted, the second half we did play a lot better defense, but
all I want to know
is
it panic time after losing back-to-back games and then not looking great from what I saw in the first half or the first quarter really. What are your thoughts right now on the Vikings?
It depends where your mindset was. If you're one of those crazy people who swings and goes full in immediately, and so you thought you were going to the Super Bowl this year, it's panic time.
Wasn't that what you guys were?
No. If you're one of those people who are saying we're a playoff team, or maybe Matt was, you're still going Super Bowl. But either way, if you're a playoff team,
what do you mean? I got $100 on them.
I don't think it's a panic time for making an okay attempt in the playoffs. Super Bowl, not a chance.
My fear is that the defense has been figured out.
Yep.
And especially since nothing happened at the deadline today for the Vikings. And granted, the Vikings did some moves before the deadline last week and everything like that. But I am just concerned that we got to play Detroit again. We got to play Green Bay again.
The division's tough.
We got
we got Green Bay at home at least.
Right, we got those stinky Bears games. Do you remember what happened last year with Green Bay at home? Schlacked.
I don't.
Wasn't like
that's short-term memory.
Wasn't it like 40-something to 7?
That was New Year's Eve. It was horrible.
Yeah.
Awful. I just worry the shine is coming off Sam Darnold.
Yep.
And he is regressing to things that he used to do for
But the nice
Jets
thing is
and the
when
Panthers.
he's regressing, I can't speak, he still looks okay. Like, he doesn't look like the shininess that you were mentioning in the early season.
He's not
but
Josh
he's still,
Dobbs, yeah.
Yeah, he's still fine.
He's not.
He's not Josh Dobbs. Sam was saying during the game, she was like, "Oh, this can't get much worse." After he threw just one of those terrible interceptions, and I was like, "Do you remember this time last year we had Josh Dobbs?"
Okay, that interception was horrible, but at least there was good plays as well.
Was that in the first quarter where he rolled out and literally threw it right to
Cody
two dudes?
said he was seeing ghosts, and I was like, "No, those are other players."
They were wearing white. They were wearing white.
Just my feelings on the Vikings are Sam Darnold is a stopgap. We have J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah.
This is not going to be something that will continue on. Do as best as you can. Clearly, the Vikings have trading for Cam Robinson to fill in for Christian Darrisaw, who's out for the rest of the year at left tackle. They clearly see us as a possible playoff team.
Oh, yeah.
Because why do you make a trade for a franchise tagged left tackle for any other reason than to say, okay, we're going to still try and be competitive?
Yep.
Now, is that 7th seed, and then we have to play Washington as the 2 seed when it
Maybe.
comes to the playoffs? Like, there's a possibility there, of course. And honestly, I don't really mind our chances
I don't
against
mind
Washington.
our chances either.
That'd be a
against
fun
Washington.
game. I'm wearing the shirt I'm wearing right now if they play
But
Washington.
if it
That's
is Minnesota 7 seed, let's say Detroit, I'm guessing all of us kind of feel like Detroit's going to be the top seed.
Yeah.
Unless they screw something up and pull a Detroit like
So
They
then,
really have to
So
screw
then
something
let's
up.
say
Detroit has
that
been there doing that before.
for the NFC South, Atlanta's that 2 seed, or San Francisco is that 2 seed.
I don't know. That'll be
Like,
interesting.
I don't think San Francisco is a good draw for us. I realize that
No.
we play them pretty well in recent
Yeah.
years. When it comes to playoffs, and then we would have to go there, that is a lot different. I feel okay about Atlanta because
I
they
do too.
don't have a pass rush, and that will give Darnold a little bit of flexibility.
Mm-hmm.
I just think regardless, whatever happens this year, as long as we don't completely implode and our defense is not completely like destroyed and Flores comes back and like all that kind of stuff, it is what it is. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Like,
That's the short way to put what I was saying.
yeah. Yeah.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. Like, this was always, to me,
Are we at the halfway mark
a
yet?
lost year. Yeah.
We are.
We're going into week 10 now.
Yep.
And there's an extra week this week.
There-
Year, right?
There's 18
Yeah,
weeks.
Oh, okay. Got you.
Yeah. So just in general, like,
Got you.
whatever happens with them, I hate the fact that that game was in primetime. If that game would have been where it was supposed to be, where it was hidden amongst the noon games, no one in the world would be dogging the Vikings right now because nobody would have been watching
Yeah.
and paying attention.
Like, oh, 21-10? Okay, we beat them.
Yeah. But
was
now,
nice.
it got moved to Sunday night, and they look like absolute turds.
Why? They were playing the
Yeah.
Colts.
It was kinda
Because the Vikings had momentum, and you have to do this weeks in
They
advance.
just came back back-to-back losses.
weird.
I know,
but
but
he said weeks in advance.
Oh,
so
got you.
You move these things weeks in advance, like good narrative around Anthony Richardson. The dude
Yeah.
didn't play.
Yeah.
Like
That is
Tap
the
me out.
craziest
Tap me out.
thing.
Put me in, coach.
that's a tough one.
So, no panic time, which I like it. I like the takes that you guys are throwing out there. We are going to jump into some mid-year check-ins with Matt. we're going to get right to it. Folks, we recorded a podcast earlier about bold takes and NFL takes and stuff we talked about earlier in the year, and Matt's going to touch on some of those. Good, bad, ugly, crazy? I don't know. We'll see. Take it away, buddy.
I think it's important to be accountable in life.
Yes,
and
it
have
is.
others hold you accountable. Hand up for accountability.
Hand up accountability.
Hand up for accountability. And I think it's important for us to run through some of these things because I think often, just between us, we talk about like, what was that bet? What was that thing that you mentioned? What was that? Because we talk too much.
We do.
We talk too much. We say too much on
gotta take
air
your
and
bets all
off
the time.
air. You know, we just there's just too many bets floating around. I just lost a bet to Taylor recently for golf, and I paid up. Didn't let it roll over, thankfully.
What was the payment?
It was a rack of hams.
Not a sponsor, but could be.
That they could be supplying me with that hams,
They could.
but
One day.
drinking hams right now too, if that helps anything.
Yep.
You know, but I just think it's important to run back some of these big time predictions. These now, granted, these are bold takes. These are bold takes by me.
And they were a little too bold.
Now they're a little zesty. They're a little zesty at the time.
They're hot. They're hot.
They're a little hot. Well, now they are as cold as a turd in January.
That's cold.
So here's the first one that I need to kind of recap. And I'm going to call this one a win. Dennis Allen will be the first coach fired after a Week 11 loss to the Browns. Their bye week is Week 12.
That was close.
I was so close. He got fired in Week 9.
Yeah.
However, Saleh was the first coach fired.
Yep.
But I still feel good. I still feel okay.
No, I feel like that's totally fair.
So
That was
let's-
good.
Let's celebrate some victories.
I'm gonna grade all these. I'm gonna give that a B+.
Thank you. I
I'd
appreciate
almost even give it an A-. That's pretty impressive,
That's not
considering
too
how
bad.
bad some stuff's been going for people. So.
What grade
That's not
scale
too
are you
bad.
going by? You going by A, B, C, D, so people don't get upset about minuses and pluses, or are you going by pluses and minuses?
Well, if I gave it an A-, I think I have to be going with pluses and minuses. But
that. He's calling it 90%. You're giving me 86%.
Yep.
yeah, roughly
Okay.
something like that.
So we're not gonna talk about that one too much. The Saints are a dumpster fire. They're completely in cap hell.
Yeah.
They had
It doesn't
quite
matter.
the start, though.
It does not matter who is brought in there. That team is screwed for a very long time. Next one, my CJ Stroud, my beloved CJ Stroud.
50 touchdowns.
Will
I
throw
don't know
50
what
touchdowns,
happened there.
will win MVP, but will not make the Super Bowl. So the third part of that, I feel like it's pretty comfortable to say they will not make the Super Bowl.
90% right there. No, I was kidding.
So right now, Houston's team is just injuries galore. Stephon Diggs out the rest of the year. Nico Collins might come back this week. It
They
doesn't
just
look
didn't
promising.
look that good before those injuries.
Bad Halloween game. CJ Stroud has 11 touchdowns in 9 weeks.
I love the confidence early, though. Will throw 50 touchdowns.
Yes.
Will win MVP. Not, hey, he has a chance. I like it, though.
There is a bad offensive line.
That's a C- for me.
There is a good running back.
It's worse than a C-.
I feel like that's in the D range.
Yeah, that's easy.
I feel like that's in the D range.
I want everyone to pass their classes.
Well,
Okay.
is D
You can
still
pass-
passing?
Yeah, it is actually.
Yeah, so
You're right.
It's
You
definitely
should see
a D.
my college grades, buddy. D's get degrees.
Yeah, buddy.
All right, so yeah, again, CJ Stroud, just a disappointing year. Like if you would have said that he would have 11 touchdowns in 9 games, you would be like, that's insane. When did he? Like, what happened? Like,
And we're still wondering that.
exactly.
If that was a betting line, you would have smashed that over, right?
Oh, no doubt about
If it was like, hey, he'll have
Yeah.
11 through,
Oh,
you
yeah.
would have smashed that
Oh,
over.
yeah.
Everyone in the world would have.
I was going to say
Anyone who bets.
they probably set his line at 28
Yeah.
or 27, something like that.
Dang.
This one really bums me out. The new kickoff rule results in 10 touchdowns this year. There's only been 3.
Well, if people would stop being cowards and would just actually
Thank you,
give them a
Trevor.
chance to return it.
Let him run it back.
Yeah.
They just really have not embraced it. They have not
No.
tried.
No.
I don't think this is really on me.
I think that could happen if people were actually returning it quite easily.
Yeah.
But it's just nothing's really changed.
I
No.
agree. And that just puts it into perspective. It's like, okay, so the NFL is cutting down on concussions on kickoff returns 100%. Maybe not 100%.
Well, not really, because neither way were they returning it at all.
Yeah.
In the last few years.
Okay,
Unless you're
yes.
talking about like old
You're-
classic
you're
football.
Right.
Like,
Yep, you're right. In the last few years, you are correct. Yeah, I don't know what the NFL was thinking. Well, obviously
well,
safety,
they
but
need to
then
change something to get it
they wanted
exciting and
more
just
action.
didn't do it.
It's just not going to happen.
Yeah,
I don't
agree.
blame them for trying it. Just
So what?
Do you have a new number?
what kind of a grade? Well,
Do you have a new
4.
number?
yeah, honestly.
really. 'Cause
It's
no one's gonna
it's
return
halfway
it.
through the season. I'm gonna go 6. Let's go over under 6. You going over? Or you going under?
Under. I
Or are
don't
you
think
taking?
enough
Are you
people
taking the
return it.
line? 6.5.
Okay, if you say 6.5, then I will go under, so I can lock in 6.
Okay, I'm gonna go under 2.
I'm
6.5.
going under, and I'll say 5.
You're gonna say 5. That grade. Oh man, early that was like a A+ grade because I really like that bold take. I got to give you like a C again. That's not too good right there.
I'll give you a C+ because I mean,
But
it's
that's
really
not your fault. You
on
did
this
say
one.
that.
Okay.
Like, it's
All right.
kind of the rule just didn't take the way they were intending it to.
Come on, people, be exciting on the kickoff returns.
Panthers and Raiders will face off in Week 3. Whoever loses that game will not win one game all season.
That's an F.
The
Wow.
Raiders the week before that game beat Baltimore.
And they started off
So-
2-0, didn't they?
No, they started off 1-1.
1-1.
Well, they won
And then the
2 of their
next-
3 games, right? Or something,
Third game was
wasn't it?
Baltimore. The third
Okay,
game was
that's
Baltimore.
what
Oh,
it
the
was,
third
okay.
game was Baltimore.
Yeah,
Anyways,
they beat him in Baltimore.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
now the Panthers and Raiders might finish with a better record than a team like Jacksonville and New Orleans.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So, yeah, that one. They're still gonna suck. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
so
The
D-
Raiders
they're fine.
just fired all of
Yeah.
their offensive
don't,
coaches.
Don't let him fail a class because you give him an F. Give him a D-.
Well, the problem was that I told him as soon as he said that nobody loses all their games.
That's a zesty take.
That's
It's
a
a very
zesty
take.
That is a Cool Ranch Dorito that is covered in beautiful Cool Ranch.
That is true.
I was
You
wondering
don't
where you
you
were
don't have it
going
on
with
here,
that.
but let's
That's
talk.
one chip in the bag.
Yeah.
That's one chip. That's the last chip in the bag.
That's the last
that
chip
just
in the
sits at the
bag.
bottom, and for some reason, it's a full chip. I don't know how the full chips last at the bottom.
Completely
never happens.
destroys your tongue.
Oh
afterwards.
yeah, just absolutely raw. It's not on here, but I want to touch on it quick. The Steelers. We brought up the Steelers week, like our
There's
very
another one.
first NFL podcast, a lot. And what did you say, Matt? they weren't gonna. They were gonna have a
playoffs.
losing record. I'm just curious.
Never doubt the Steelers.
I'm
I
just
said
curious.
that when you said it.
We've almost got to that last one that I
They're
have.
not going to go under 500 until what's his face? Why am I blanking right
Tomlin,
now? Retires.
Thompson,
Tomlin.
Mike Tomlin.
Yeah.
All right, give me a grade on my Panthers Raiders thing,
Oh,
and then I can go to my last one.
We already gave you a D minus.
Yeah, we
because I
gave you a D
literally
minus.
said
We don't-
it right at the beginning
All
of when
right.
you said that. That's
we
no
don't want
chance.
you to
Okay.
fail.
All right, so my last one was the Bills, Browns, Steelers, Rams, and Bucks will not return to the 2024 playoffs. I feel like I'm like 50-50 on this because I definitely whiffed on the Bills and the Steelers.
Yep.
I
Well,
thought the Jets
probably.
and the Colts and the Seahawks would be replacement teams.
I jumped the gun. I didn't even see that on here.
The
Yeah.
Seahawks still have a chance, and
But
What did the Seahawks do last week?
they lost
They did.
to
So
the
they-
Rams.
Rams, yeah.
So that's
On that OT game.
that's really bad.
Yeah.
For their standing right now.
Yep.
yeah,
Because now they're last in the division, and it's going to be tough sledding. But yeah, so Bills and Steelers were actually teams that I was like, why would you want anything to do with any of the players on either team?
Yep.
Boy, definitely missed on that. I deserve an
Well,
F grade for this
I
one.
totally forgot about how the Bills have been doing when I was talking about the MVP stuff too.
So give me the last grade on that.
See, I don't want to see you fail any class. I'm going to give you a D plus.
C minus, D plus, sure.
Yeah, D plus.
Whatever.
D plus.
Like I said, I'm so.
Yeah.
50% on there. The Jets are. Wait, did you say the Jets are going to make it?
I said that the Jets were going to be a
Yeah,
replacement
D plus.
team.
Here,
Yeah.
D plus.
D
there.
plus.
But I feel pretty good about my Browns take
Yep.
of them stinking.
Yep.
They're terrible. And the Seahawks started out hot.
Bucks don't look like they're going to make the playoffs anymore.
No, but
The Rams are iffy.
They stay in games, though. The
Yeah.
Bucks
yeah,
stay
but
in
nobody
games.
also expected the NFC North to be like, oh, let's just have all of our teams go.
Yeah.
Like,
Those were kind of like my bold takes. I think fantasy wise, I'm doing a little bit worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm not playing fantasy this year. Jump into it, Matt. Let me
Okay,
hear.
so
Let me hear what's going on
some
with your
of my
teams.
advice. Well, my teams are doing extremely well
Oh, they are.
personally.
Oh, okay. That's
yeah,
good.
I'm destroying.
yeah, he
people
gave
right
everyone bad advice and then was like, watch
Yeah.
me just go
So-
the other direction.
He did say that.
now. So these were my overrated players that I said were not worth it
I saw this
to
list.
even like
I haven't
draft.
seen it yet.
Man.
So Saquon Barkley, Garrett Wilson,
Ouch.
Marvin Harrison Jr., and Jaden Daniels.
ouch.
Ouch.
So
That is, I can't even get above an F for that. Like,
Saquon
You
is the
failed on that one.
Yeah.
Saquon is a third-ranked running back. He was available in the second round.
he's been amazing.
Real
He's
quick,
even
did
just
you see
hurtling
what
backwards.
he just did? Did you see what he just did?
That's
He
crazy.
juked someone and then he hurtled backwards on purpose. He didn't
I
even
wanna-
like fake it.
Do that move again. That dude is getting a helmet right to the gooch.
Yeah, it won't work again,
Yeah.
but
He's getting speared right in the taint.
that doesn't matter. He did it once.
All right. Anyways, Saquon, number 3 ranked running back right now. You could get him in the second round in a lot of drafts. Probably at the turn, so it wouldn't be that easy to get him. But Garrett Wilson, number 3 ranked wide receiver. I have him on both my teams,
Nice.
so
That's
maybe
huge.
I should have done the overrated
he
thing.
shouldn't be doing as good as he is with how bad the Jets are, but like
He just
he's
got-
their only offense.
Did
Well-
he just get traded? They just
No.
traded a wideout.
No.
Who did
Mike
the-
Williams.
Williams.
Yeah,
Okay.
Mike Williams.
Not Wilson. Gotcha.
Yeah. Marvin Harrison Jr. I feel okay. He's the 23rd ranked wide receiver.
Well, when
People
he
were
gets
taking
throws,
him.
he's doing great.
People were taking him in the second round, though.
Early. That's early, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
People were taking him in the pick like 16, 17.
I mean, they're probably not getting hurt that bad for.
It's probably not that bad. But
Yeah.
Jaden Daniels.
Let me hear about the next one. Yeah.
Jaden
yeah,
Daniels,
yeah,
number
yeah.
3
That's-
quarterback. He was a guy you could get in the 9th, 10th, 11th rounds.
But no one's taking him as a starting quarterback in a fantasy league.
Nah, yes, they were.
Were
They
they?
are now.
Really? I would figure
Yes.
like after maybe like week 3, okay, maybe
No,
this
no,
guy's
no.
got something going on.
No,
I
people.
think you underestimate how bad some of the quarterbacks have been in this
Yeah.
league.
Yeah, good point. good point.
Quarterbacks this year have been pretty bad. So
Yeah.
it didn't do so very good on the overrated ones. But sleepers and some of these guys that I was like, I think you should reach on. So the Zeke thing has been an absolute disaster. That's an F by itself.
That's a bad F.
And I said he was a sleeper.
He can't even show up to practice on time.
He does
and
not-
he doesn't travel with the team anymore.
He is a healthy scratch. Not great. But I did say reach on Bijan. He's number 4 overall.
That's your guy, right?
That's my guy.
Yep.
I also said it's okay to take the Chargers defense. They're number 7 overall.
Their games are so weird. They don't score or get scored on. It's just boring.
Exactly. They got a solid team. And I said Jaden Reed was going to be a sleeper. He's a number 10 wide receiver this year. I have him on my team. He's pretty great.
I haven't really
some
noticed how
weeks.
he's doing.
He had a lot of scores in the beginning of the year, and then he's had a couple turds, but it's okay.
It's like my boy Flowers that I
well, that was just one game.
decided
It's just
to
anytime you bet on him.
take part in some parlays, and yeah, he had 11 yards. I was looking for 100 plus, and it was that game.
He had a pretty big week last week.
124
He had
yeah.
100 plus in every game surrounding Taylor's
He went
bet.
100, 100, 11. Well, 100 plus, 11, and then 100 plus, didn't he? Or was this
there
his...
might be one fewer, but it was either 3 or 4. I don't remember.
He's playing well.
So I just want to say for the record, fantasy wise, I'm 8-1 in one league and 7-2 in the other league, and I just beat my stepdad's ass. So suck it, Trevor. Just want to clarify
Not this
that
Trevor.
because ironically,
Not this Trevor.
when we other Trevor,
Yeah.
when we recorded the first podcast, we were going through these things. I lost to Trevor in week 1
You
by
did.
0.43,
And you were not happy.
and I just beat him by about 38.
He left early.
He did leave
because
early.
of
We were watching that was the Bucks San Francisco game, wasn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
I
You're
saw
just
George Kittle
gone.
catch that pass, and I said, "Good night, boys.
Yeah,
We're
that was
leaving.
pretty much how it went.
I need to go home." So
Your-
fantasy, hit or miss,
A. I'd give you an A.
Oh, are you sure on the overrated?
No. Like overall, just like what you talked about earlier in the year, your teams, how you're doing,
Okay,
and like what's going on. I'd give you an A.
I feel like I
A
deserve.
for effort.
I was gonna say, I feel like an A for effort would be
Yeah.
good. Some bets that I laid out. Most rushing yards. I said Bijan at the time. He had decent odds. He's 9th in yards right now. He's at 632. Derrick Henry
One
is
guy's just a monster.
Derrick Henry again. Bijan's 9th, and he's tied with a couple players right now. Derrick Henry is first with over 1,000 yards.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
dude is a monster this year.
In
And they're not
9
even
games.
getting him the carries he deserves. Like,
Yeah.
There'll be games he'll sit out the whole second half.
I
We watched the
swear
game
that
in
guy
Tennessee.
could have had 300 yards in one of those games easily.
The game in Tennessee where he went off in the first half or second half. He had like 115 yards, and then he
Yeah.
just like sat around.
More
And that was
more
like
on
20
Derrick.
Not even 20 carries.
Yeah, I was gonna say Derrick
on
Henry's
Derrick
coming up
Henry
later.
But yeah, I mean, if you have money right now, just push it on to Derrick Henry. Like you're gonna make money off of it. Comeback player of the year. Kyler's odds have not moved at all. Actually,
Sad.
that's a bad sign.
Yeah.
He's 6th on the list. Kirk Cousins is now minus 105.
I mean, I don't
they're gonna
like
give it to
Kyler
him.
Murray, but I have money on him, so he needs to pick it up.
Which is it's so strange to me because Atlanta's winning their division right now, and Arizona is winning their division right now.
Yeah.
But Kirk Cousins, who statistically is not that far off from what Kyler Murray is doing, is this overwhelming prohibitive favorite
For comeback player of the year.
for comeback player of the year.
So what did Murray
That
do
makes no
last year?
sense.
Well, not much because he tore his ACL the year prior. He only played like 5 or 6 games.
So he's still in the running for comeback player of the year.
Yes.
Now
Yeah.
they see Cousins that old coming off an Achilles injury.
But they still have like Aaron Rodgers and DeMar Hamlin above Kyler Murray right
Do they
now.
really?
Yes.
Ooh.
As far as the odds go. So
That's
all I'm
rough.
saying is hold on to don't
Yeah, that makes no sense.
leave the voting line.
Yeah,
Stay in line.
that is true.
Kyler Murray, if Arizona wins that division, there could be a massive shift in the way people are looking at it betting wise.
True.
That is true.
So all these people throwing away money on Kirk Cousins.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to
go
cash
ahead.
out on my bet, so.
And the last one I had was just some like divisional stuff. I said these are the divisions that I said we're going to win, or who was going to win their divisions. Miami, they're 2-6. Houston,
Well, that's also
Solid.
kind of an unfair
Yeah.
scenario.
Their quarterback doesn't have a brain.
That's true.
it's a real scarecrow situation, huh?
It is.
Dallas 3-5, Tampa Bay 4-4, San Fran 4-4. So those are the ones that I'm obviously going to miss on. But Detroit, KC, Baltimore, and Houston, they are still in the driver's seats to
Yeah,
win
you
their
should be good with
divisions.
those 4.
Yeah.
I like it. I
So-
like it.
So
we got
bets,
some. We got.
bets wise.
Yeah.
How am I looking? How am I doing?
I mean,
Not great, Bob.
I'd give you. I'd probably go B.
Yeah, I wasn't tracking all of them. that closely when we were just talking about him, so
I'd go B.
sure B minus.
Thank you for listening to
What
me.
I am excited
Well, I was
about,
listening. I just
Yeah.
didn't keep track of everything.
what I am
weighing them
excited
against each
about,
other.
and what we get into, which I do like, that we do bold takes. We should do bold takes on more stuff, just like random sports or just stuff we enjoy.
Agreed.
Bold takes on food, bold takes on crazy things, whatever. I digress.
Revised bold takes.
Revised bold takes.
Oh, okay.
I've got a few for
Super
you.
excited for this segment.
That's what.
I've got a few for you guys to consider. And again, these are bold. So, I need
We're halfway
people
through the
to-
season.
I need people to withhold judgment.
Well, judging.
I know that makes people want to judge. But,
Yep.
So, my first one,
I'm going in with an open mind.
I want to touch back on King Henry here.
Yeah.
Because
Dude's a monster.
I do think that this could be part of the MVP conversation as well.
Yes,
Yep.
easily.
100%.
Derrick Henry will rush for 2,000 yards and win Offensive Player of the Year,
He will rush for 2,000.
but not win
But
Offensive
not
Player of the Year.
Oh, no, I'm not making a statement. I was just asking.
Yes, so he will rush for 2,000 yards,
And win.
Offensive Player of the Year.
Yes. And I will even throw MVP in there. When was the last? Well, let's go back to Adrian Peterson, good old Vikings days. He ran for how many yards that one year? 2,000.
Over 2,000 yards.
Did he win the
Yeah.
MVP that year?
He did.
Okay.
That,
so I feel like
that is
So
a
are you saying he's
going
going to break the
But
record?
I feel like if a
or
running-
not?
No, he cannot. He's not going to break the record.
So
No.
how much is he going to fall short?
I think he's barely going to get under like what Adrian Peterson did.
Okay.
I feel like if a running back does that though, because it doesn't happen often,
Okay,
that they're going to give him the MVP.
Let's call it.
Well, I mean,
let's
that's
call
what
it. We're
AP,
gonna
you know.
we're gonna double it. So what he's at 1,052 yards right now.
Yeah.
Double that, 2,104 yards.
Yep. Good
Which is
math.
more, right?
It should be close to. I think it's like
It's
Wasn't
really
he
close.
2094, 96?
something like that.
Yeah,
the
he
record's
did-
like 104.
Okay, so
He didn't get to
factor
100 because they took him out.
Yeah, because
That was the big
him.
thing.
Yeah.
They didn't let him get the record because they took him out.
Okay. Obviously, that's not going to work because we have seen the way Baltimore plays. They are going to take Henry out of some situations.
Yeah,
true.
Especially if they get up. So I'm
Or
going to
they'll
say
have one game where they run him like 5 times.
he barely gets over that 2,000-yard mark
The man will still get his 110 yards a game, though.
I don't doubt that.
I agree, Matt. He'll
and win Offensive Player of the Year,
Yep.
not MVP.
Okay.
Not MVP.
All right.
The Bills will be the second seed. Josh Allen will have 40 combined touchdowns, so he's got 20 right now between passing and rushing,
Yep.
and he will win MVP this year.
Are they sitting second seed right now?
They're close.
Josh Allen for
They
MVP.
they will
Who's-
have to hop Baltimore
Okay.
to be able to get that second seed.
Josh Allen,
Josh Allen.
the freight train locomotive.
You
Josh
said he
Allen.
will be MVP?
He will
I
be
actually
MVP.
think that he will too. At
Okay.
this rate.
So
Wow.
I don't think that they're going to give any recognition to the Chiefs because I don't know how much of that game you guys caught last night. The Chiefs just don't look like
They don't look good.
they don't look like a good team. They're just winning.
They don't
right
look
now.
like
Yeah.
the old Chiefs where they just put up points and did whatever they wanted.
Well, the problem is they sit there tied with every single team, and then every single team gives Mahomes the last drive.
Now,
Never do that.
Now consider this: the Bills and Chiefs play each other yet this year. I can't tell you what week off the
I
top of my
hope
head.
for those
If-
games, the classic games of
if the
50
Bills beat the Chiefs to snap their undefeated record,
Yep.
the talk will be about Josh Allen being MVP this year,
as long as he plays, good,
conquering the
at least. Yeah.
demons,
Yeah.
getting over the hump.
I can see that.
He's dating Haley Steinfeld, which good for him.
That gives him MVP.
I
Matt's
think he
book.
deserves an MVP for that alone. But if he can, but again, people are like teams are rewarded, especially quarterbacks are rewarded when they have kind of like a faulty offense around them that they are supporting.
Mm-hmm.
The Bills' offense, on paper, is not good. Amari Cooper didn't even play last week; he's hurt. That's their big trade chip that they got last week, 2 weeks ago. If he can get Khalil Shakir, Dalton Kincaid, Curtis Samuel over the hump of being like the 2 seed,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you got to give it to him. He's making better decisions. His accuracy is up. He's turning the ball over a lot less. He's healthy again this year. I feel like they are trying to create a narrative.
Yeah.
I mean, if
to
you look
give
in
to him.
terms of like It's usually the QB. Who else are you going to give it to? The two people we talked about earlier that could potentially win it are both people that have already had it, so they're not going to give it to him again.
They're not giving it to Mahomes.
Yeah.
They're not giving it to Lamar Jackson.
So he's like the only one in the running by himself other than Derrick Henry if they do go running back route.
Yeah.
But they're just... This is the whole reason why I think the Offensive Player of the Year thing was created, so that they can...
so they can screw over everyone besides quarterbacks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They will recognize... Again, this is a thing of like for wide receivers. You can't tell me a wide receiver like Justin Jefferson does not deserve to be in the MVP race. They'll never give it to him.
No.
They'll never give it to him. No. CeeDee Lamb last year probably should have been runner-up to MVP, not Mahomes, with how great of a season he had last year. But they won't. They won't. They will reward him in a very different way. I just think it's the time. Allen has been around for a long time. People are desperate to give him an award.
Mm-hmm.
And I think his odds are pretty good right now.
Yes,
they're still positive.
But like what you said,
so you can still make money off of it.
I think you're right that he is going to win it, but I do think that if Henry can keep up the pace that he's literally on right now, Henry might take it.
He has to break the record.
But he has to,
if he breaks the record, Henry's getting the MVP.
He has to have like 2,150 yards and 20 touchdowns.
He at least has to have over 2,000.
What does he have right now? He's got like 11, right?
He's got 11 touchdowns.
Touchdowns, yeah.
And he's on pace.
He is.
Yeah.
He's on pace technically.
Yes. But he has to continue doing that.
Right.
When you see
and they can't take a break
when I hear
playoffs.
MVP,
they can't stop in week 18 and 17.
Exactly.
They have to keep going.
When I hear MVP, most valuable player for that team. You look at Josh Allen with what you just said. Their offense isn't clicking on all cylinders. He's got people that he needs to get over that hump. That's an MVP candidate. He's still doing what he's doing, making his team win, doing what he needs to do. Baltimore, if Henry gets it, great. But they got weapons.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
They will punish Derrick Henry because he's playing for the team that was the number one seed last year and had MVP. They'll punish him for it.
Yeah.
Which, I mean,
is that fair?
Yeah, actually, in terms of MVP, it is.
That's
a reason to give offensive player as well because you weren't as valuable to your team. They didn't need you. Mm-hmm. They sure benefited from it, but they need you.
I love the Josh Allen take.
Yeah.
I'm here for it.
Here's another one to continue my Steelers hate.
Oh boy.
Cincinnati, who is 4-5, will leapfrog the Steelers, who are 6-3, to take their spot in the playoffs. They still play twice this year. What do you think?
They're going to split those games. Steelers are going to take the playoff spot since he's going to miss the playoffs.
I agree. I do think it'll come close.
They're going to split. They're going to win one at home, lose one at home.
You guys trust Russell Wilson and Justin Fields over Joe Burrow?
Yeah.
No,
Have you seen Joe Burrow this year?
The Steelers' defense over the Bengals, who are just so random.
I trust the coaching
that Cincinnati
staff.
Defense might be one of the worst I've seen.
That Cincinnati team lost to the Patriots and screwed me.
That's where it is. You're speaking from a place of anger.
Yeah, I am.
I trust the coaching staff over in the Steelers camp.
Yeah.
Okay. You're gonna come crawling back to me when Joe Burrow has Russell Wilson's head on a spike.
We got too many bets on the line. I'm gonna hold off on putting another thing of hands on that.
Last one
record.
for the bold take.
Yep.
And I know. Please sit down for this one.
I'm going to.
Terry McLaurin will lead the NFL in touchdown receptions.
Ooh.
He is currently tied for second with 5 other people with 6 touchdowns.
Who's first?
I don't know. That's a great question. But I will say this. Jaden Daniels loves that man. You want to know why? Because he had 2 catches last week for 19 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Terry McLaurin.
McLaurin did not have a crazy game last week, but he was targeted when it mattered in the end zone because those two are connected telepathically.
There's going to be a couple more games this year where I'm going to call right now. Add the sound of the bull take.
Okay.
There's going to be a game this year where Terry McLaurin has 3 touchdowns.
You heard it here first.
You know what? I'm even going to go further than that. It is going to be on Thanksgiving. It's going to be when they play the Cowboys. Terry McLaurin is going to have 3 touchdowns against the Cowboys.
Okay.
And it will be the Jaden Daniels is the rookie of the year. He's minus 1,300 right now for odds.
You are tooting this horn over here. Let's go.
People are going to
keep it coming.
Say to Terry McLaurin, they're going to gravitate towards Terry McLaurin.
All right.
I mean, it's actually looking promising looking at this list. Jamar Chase was 7 in first. Terry McLaurin is marked at second, but I mean, like you said, he's tied with a bunch of people.
Yep.
Mike Evans, who is he even playing? Did he get injured?
He's still out
Hamstring.
until after their bye week.
He
two
popped a
more
hamstring
weeks.
real good. So
Yep.
Drake London. So if Cousins keeps throwing touchdowns.
Drake London got hurt last week in the game.
Oh, did he? I didn't see that one. Okay.
He did. He left the game.
Amon-Ra, who could be maybe the biggest threat to it.
If you wanna put down 2 bets, Amon-Ra to win the touchdown title for wide receivers, and Terry McLaurin.
Yes, I would say
to
that.
tie.
Separate.
Oh,
them.
separate. Like
Here's-
those two are
bets.
going to be
Here's
top
the
2.
other one
Yeah,
that
if
could
you
also
want to short
screw
it a
up,
little
though.
bit to make your money back, I would put Amon-Ra.
The last one that I would say could also make it interesting is George Kittle.
What does he have right now?
He also has 6.
He's got
He
6. I don't trust Kittle. He's super
trust-
hot and cold.
Kittle, I just don't know if Brock Purdy will get enough touchdowns to keep it.
No.
That's the thing.
No, we'll see.
Here's McLaurin's next lineup of games. They play the Steelers this week, Eagles, Cowboys, Titans, Saints, Eagles, Falcons, Cowboys. So you're saying he's going to have on Thanksgiving, that's when he's going to do his 3 touchdowns?
He's going to have 3 touchdowns on Thanksgiving.
Okay. All right.
And everyone is going to get Terry McLaurin fever,
Oh,
which I have had, I want to say for the record.
you have.
I love Terry McLaurin.
Yeah.
I have just been like, Kyle Anderson is throwing him the ball. I'm not taking a risk on him.
I'm a big McLaren F1 kind of guy. That's what I call him.
He just rocks, man. I don't know how
He's
to say it.
fast. He's probably so happy that he's got Daniels throwing him the ball.
Oh my God.
He
He
is
say
living-
his prayers. and
He's going to be
thank God
making
every
so
single
much
way.
money in the next couple of years because he's going to be like, hey, look what I did last year.
Yeah.
So those are the revised bold takes. We'll get to them at the end of the year to see where
Yeah, now you just
Where I
screwed
hit
over all
them.
those people.
I probably just guaranteed quite a few injuries. That's honestly how I feel.
It's the Matt curse.
If
instead
my
of the
2
Madden
dudes
curse.
get injured, I know who I'm coming to.
Yes.
I don't know how much NBA talk we're gonna get into necessarily.
Don't even talk about the Timberwolves. Don't
But,
say a
like,
word.
I acted like Paolo Banchero was gonna be
Yeah.
my next god, and
Yeah.
now he's hurt for quite a while. Like
4 to 6 weeks, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
but I don't know if it's gonna be. I don't know what that recovery is gonna look like necessarily in the actual like game side of things.
For an oblique.
Yeah.
It's pretty intense because you breathe with your obliques. You get
Yeah.
hit, you get bumped, you get tapped. You have to spin, turn, jump. It's a nasty. It's not nasty, but it's a hard recovery.
So, anyways, like, comment, and subscribe.
Yes.
Let us know if you got some bold takes. Hit us up. Hit us up. We'll consider them.
I want to hear your guys' bold takes.
We'll pass judgment on the bold takes.
There's a
Yeah.
there's a
And give
spot.
grades just like we did to yours.
We can.
We could give you grades. There's a
Yeah.
spot on Spotify that will allow you to give us a text message. It goes to our page, and we can read all those. So,
Perfect.
if you see that on there, give us a text. Or if you know any of us 3 personally, call us out. Well, we'll negotiate a little bit or talk to you a little bit about it.
For the record, if you see me in public, do not talk to me. Do not approach me. Do not make eye contact.
Please go
He-
talk to Matt.
He
do
does
not make eye
bite.
contact.
If you
with
see
me.
one of the hosts of the podcast, please go talk to
do
him.
not make eye contact with me.
Real quick, we're going to wrap up today's podcast with a pick'em style conference championship along with some Super Bowl predictions now that we're halfway through the season, right, fellas?
Yep.
Okay, deal. Matt, I think you're going to lead this one, and we can kind of just go down the line and go from there. How's that sound?
I think for the record, what I said before, it was going to be Detroit and Kansas City, and I think I had Kansas City in that.
You did, if I remember right.
It still looks very possible.
I was going to
That
say,
does look really possible.
I'm still going to hold
Are
on
we
to
starting
it.
out with the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm going to hold on to Kansas City and Detroit. I'm going to switch it to Detroit over Kansas City, though, in the Super Bowl.
Ooh, you just bet against the people you said never bet against.
I know.
also have those 2, and I am going Detroit because someone might have put a little money on them.
Okay. Somebody put some money on
I
it.
also have money on them, but what scares me is Detroit always pulls a Detroit thing at some point. So hopefully
Yeah.
they do that before the playoffs.
The last game of the year.
So I also, for like the conferences, again, I have to have Detroit in there. But for the other NFC team, I think I had Philly, and I feel horrible about that, and I really don't want that.
I say that, but honestly, looking at this list, it very well could be. Like,
They could. They're coming into their own. Didn't they start 0-2?
Yeah,
and now they've won all their games since.
I think
they
roughly
started
around there.
Yeah, close.
You know what? You know what I'm gonna go for, and this is gonna just suck. It's gonna be a Detroit Green Bay NFC conference.
I don't doubt that.
They played tough last week.
Yeah. That was a good
Green
game.
Bay's
Jordan
Love's gonna
Love,
have to get his stuff figured
he's
out.
He's got to take a couple weeks off. But
Yeah.
if that's the thing, if Green Bay ends up being the 7th seed and they play a team like Washington, and
what if Washington in the conference finals?
like maybe there's a possibility of that.
You never know.
The
Or
AFC,
the NFC Championship, whatever. I'm thinking basketball already.
for the AFC, I'm pretty sure I said KC Baltimore.
Yeah, you did.
I got to stick with that. I just feel like Baltimore, they got Deontay Johnson now. How that's going to open up their offense passing wise. Lamar is on an absolute heater. Derrick Henry, obviously
Will
I
they
have
be
some
on
faith in
opposite
him.
sides though?
Could the Bills get hot? Because again,
Okay,
besides the
right.
Chiefs, the Ravens, and the Bills, look at all these other teams. Like, there's no one really standing out and doing much.
So the hard part is if Buffalo is a 2nd seed, like I said,
I hope they
and
have a
KC
matchup in the.
and KC is 1, so then that would mean Baltimore would play KC or play Buffalo to go
which
to the
would
conference
be amazing
championship.
to have another one of those, and I just hope for once the Bills can pull it off.
So I gotta say KC Baltimore.
all right.
I don't have much faith in other AFC contenders right now outside of the Bills.
Okay.
I'm actually going to go with KC and the Bills and hope for the rematch we've all been hoping for.
Okay.
I'm gonna go KC Bills because I agree with your Josh Allen statement and the MVP and all that stuff. So I want to see him. I want to see him do stuff, and then it just solidify this year that he's actually all right.
The
He's
Ravens
worthy.
just
Yeah.
can their defense survive the playoffs? I don't know. Like, you have
Yeah.
to score 60 points to win these games, probably. Like,
And
the
they
cornerbacks
can
are
though.
bad.
They
Yeah.
can score 60 points. That's
they
the
can,
scary
yeah,
part.
they for sure can. But you have to show up that day.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll be interesting, but I just think Detroit's got something, man.
I think they
don't
have
I
it.
can't put
but
my finger
can
on
they
it, but they
actually
just got
do
something. We'll have to see.
Playoffs get too wild.
From a quick glance, the NFC North is the only conference on both sides. Let me double check that all the teams are at 500 or above.
Yeah, that's not very
Yeah.
common.
That's not common for all teams to be at 500 or above.
In a
No.
That's
division?
what I
No.
No, that's what I mean. Like it's
Yeah.
a solid conference with solid
Division.
teams or
Yeah.
divisions. Yeah,
I
not
was gonna say
conference.
our
Sorry,
Conferences.
not conference. Division. Because there's divisions inside the conference.
Yeah.
There's so many: AFC South, AFC North, AFC West, AFC East.
There's 32 teams, if you can believe it.
My, I can. I think I
There's a
counted
lot of
that
them.
last time.
Josh Allen for MVP. Detroit Lions for the first ever Super Bowl in their franchise history.
All right,
Lock it in.
I'm locking it in.
If I could parlay that, I would. I
need a
probably
pick.
can't.
We can go to Iowa.
Something over here.
I don't know if they'll let me parlay that together, but I would give it a shot.
That'd
You
be
know
fun.
what? I'm gonna give.
Do you have DraftKings?
Here's your bold
Not a
take of the
sponsor.
day
But
for
could
you.
be.
I'm
I'll-
taking
I'll-
Washington on this.
Oh,
You're taking Washington?
Conference
Matt and
finals,
as Matt-
Washington. They're losing it, but
As Matt and I are over here trying to negotiate a DraftKings sponsorship,
Yeah.
you're over here throwing out Washington Commanders.
Washington Commanders. I'm looking at this list and I'm liking it more for Washington now.
Wow.
okay. Not even the guy rocking the Jaden Daniels shirt that he hasn't washed
Nope.
since he's gotten
He
it.
doesn't even trust
I
his
have
team.
not.
No, he doesn't trust it.
Trev. Okay, let's do it.
Which
Still
means
not
that
right
Detroit
anything,
does
but
have to go to the Super Bowl if that's the case, though, if I pick that.
That is
Yeah.
true. So you're saying Lions, Washington in the conference finals.
Yeah, let's do it.
Detroit wins. And they'll
It
play,
seems very possible
they'll
with the
play
teams that are
Kansas
showing
City.
up to this playoffs. Like,
They'll play Kansas City, and you have Detroit as well, don't you, to win the whole thing? Or are you not
you'd have
betting
to,
against?
at that point, you have to take Detroit to win the whole thing.
Gotcha.
Because my bold take was going to be that Detroit was not even going to make it to the Super Bowl. But then looking at these teams, I'm like, how does Detroit not make it to the Super
Detroit
Bowl?
looks nice.
Yeah, Detroit's schedule is too favorable that they
Yeah.
won't be in the driver's seat come playoff time.
Yeah.
I like it.
So it's got to be.
Good stuff, fellas. We're back. We're back and better than ever. Drinking hams, talking bets, talking about DraftKings. Not a sponsor, but could be. Thanks for tuning in for episode 15 of the podcast. We will be back in a couple weeks with another episode. Probably touch on a lot of NBA stuff. The NBA season is still extremely new, so we'll watch a couple more games and get a better idea of what's going on with that. Thanks for tuning in. You can always listen to us on Spotify, Apple Music, Audible, YouTube. And if you don't know where you can find us, reach out to one of us, and we can definitely tell you or share the link. Don't talk to Matt. Like, comment, subscribe. Really do appreciate your guys' support. We like doing this, and we will see you next week or the following.